Hello. How's everyone doing? So, I hope everyone's doing all right. So I hear CJ's triggered. Hey mom's jeans. And threatening to call the police on Wyoming. What what does she think they're going to do? What CJ, why don't you read the Constitution, all right? Our Constitution. We have the right to bear arms in this country. All right. So if Wyoming wants to make a video of a gun video, she has every right to. As long as she's not threatening anybody with those weapons, she's all within her rights. So we're waiting, CJ. We're waiting. We're waiting for you to go real life and make a fool of yourself yet again. All right. So I'm just gonna do a promo real quick. Hey, Socket. Where are you, mom's jeans? Canada, Australia, UK. Yeah, you have a charter or something, it's so this really let me just put this up on the screen. All right, this has to load real quick. Oops, close the window. All right, I'll put it back up. Here we go. Oh, UK. All right, mom's jeans. So here we go. We're going to do a little promo on this. So I love the fact that Nikki actually took Natasha's web domain from her. So I just wanted to show this real quick. So this will be loaded up. And at least I love that Nikki actually took my advice on changing the template. So it's at truecrime with Natasha.com, with NatashaCooper.com. So hey, Kimberly. So keep an eye on this website. Nikki said she'll be working on it tonight. And it will be a smash. Well, for us anyway. So, all right. So, I'd like to make a public apology to River Rat. By the way, I banned her on Robbie's by mistake. And she came in at the wrong time. There was a bunch of asshats that were in chat that needed to go. And I saw River Rat making some snarky comment, and I thought, oh, here we go. So I got rid of her too, and it was an honest mistake. And River Rat, I'm sorry. All right, I was wrong. Yeah, it was an oopsie, you know. But 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 when I'm wrong on something, I'll publicly apologize to someone. Yeah. So no, mom's jeans. It didn't cost $20,000. It cost her. It didn't cost her much at all. It cost her under $100 actually. Under 50. Under 50 Canadian dollars. So guess what? That was debunked while doing this little project of making a website. So, true crime at natashacooper.com is now Nikki's. Not really, Kimberly, but lately there's been a lot of people coming in, a lot of aggravators, you know, a lot of idiots coming in, trying to stir the pot. So, yeah, sometimes it's an accident, Wyoming. I don't know if it was it wasn't an accident. The thing I did to River Rat wasn't an accident. It was by mistake, all right? I mistook her for one of the ones that were causing problems. And she was actually one of the good guys, all right? So, just to get that out of the way. So, I've been watching some videos today, all right? And did anyone hear of what happened this evening with the Brooklyn Bridge? So apparently the so-called the Mexican Navy so a Mexican Navy sail ship hit the Brooklyn Bridge this around 8:30, 9 o'clock this evening. So the bridge is intact. So I think some 20 people are injured in and I'm looking at the footage or whatever, and I'm like scratching my head and says, did they actually think that they get underneath the Brooklyn Bridge with that high sailboat? I'm like, it's yeah, it looked pretty though. Yeah, it did. It looked like a pretty ship, but it's either utter stupidity or I think it was on purpose. All right, you don't underestimate. You don't underestimate like that. All right. I could see if you hit the bridge underneath the bridge by a few inches and you miscalculated or something. But it was obvious that you weren't gonna make it. So what did they do? They just kept going. You know, it's That's what it looked like to me. That's what it looked like to me. And I'm like, I don't like to think things like this, that someone can actually do that. But at least no, at least there was no structural damage to the bridge, as far as I know. Yeah, carrying about 200 people. And the masts on the sails broke. Or maybe 20 people injured or something. I hope it didn't cause any tears into the bridge foundation, and they don't have to close the Brooklyn Bridge or the Manhattan Bridge, for that matter. It's just it was just amazing for me to see that. Yeah, there are a lot of strange things happening lately. You know, it's. I just thought that was a mention for today, and I'm like, whoa. It seemed to be. It could be an accident, it could be a freak accident, but it doesn't look like it to me. You know. I'm sure that there's going to be a full investigation on this. I hope that they give everyone on that ship a polygraph test. You know, it's New York, for crying out loud. The city of New York, in my opinion, is cesspool for activity, and it's a target. Look at what happened on 9/11. You know, New York City was target for subway attacks, you name it. They seem to target New York over everywhere else. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope it was a freak accident, but it doesn't look like it to me from the footage I seen tonight on the news. Or the clip I seen on YouTube, and I'm like, it comes on my feed, and I'm like, it actually got caught on tape. You know, it's like surreal. So let's move on to the next story of the day. So, did anyone hear about yesterday's escape out of Louisiana? So, Prison Break is no longer a TV show. It's now real life. So, in New Orleans, there were allegedly 11 people that escaped from the county jail or the parish jail, whatever you want to call it. Now, the sheriff's department can't even keep track of how many people escaped, which is a real disgrace. So the updates are, it's like the updates, yeah, the too easy. The inmates said it was, they wrote on the walls, too easy. So apparently they said 11 escaped, but it turned out to be 10 or something escaped, and then one was taken into custody. They keep changing the whole numbers, you know? And then supposedly they got 2 of them back into custody or something. The numbers keep changing. You know, they're scrambling. What really gets me on that was I look at the surveillance tape of them escaping, and those locks seem to be defective. The locks kept breaking. The sheriff even admits it, that they needed money to fix the whole place, and they weren't getting funding, supposedly. That's one story to come out of there. I don't know. Was this another Epstein episode where the guards fell asleep, went on break? I think one actually stepped away. One guard actually stepped away to get something to eat, and they made a run for it. Hey, Kit. Yeah, it actually happened before. That many. It's rare. But here's the thing that really, the statistics really say. The statistics on this actually say that it usually doesn't. They're usually found, escaped inmates are usually found within 24 hours of them escaping prison or the county jail. They're usually found. But in this case, I think they actually had help on the outside. All right, you can see the surveillance tape of them breaking other inmates out of their cells. They're like yanking on the doors back and forth to jimmy the lock, so it gives way. And you got to see them right outside the jail, right on camera, walking right out, running right out. All of them. And they didn't discover that they were gone for till morning. Yeah, that was in Dannemora. That was in New York, Wyoming. That was New York. So they didn't learn a thing from Clinton Correctional in New York. They didn't learn a thing from the they didn't learn a damn thing from the Virginia incident where death row escaped. They didn't learn a damn thing from the 4 that escaped. I forget which state it was. Was it Texas or something? They didn't learn a damn thing, didn't they? They didn't learn a damn thing. From this, you know? They didn't learn a damn thing. So now we have 9 or 10 inmates on the loose, which probably, since they didn't find them within 24 hours, they probably hitched a ride. Well, that actually happened, Kimberly, out of Virginia. This was in the 80s or early 90s. That actually happened. They actually made a movie out of it. I didn't even know about it until I watched the movie, made for TV movie. And then I looked it up online. It's, oh dear, that it is true. It actually did happen. Yeah, this is crazy. But this New Orleans, and then they have another tape that they're showing where they're running across the freeway The inmates are running across the freeway at night. But they caught, but here's the thing: they caught at least one of them hiding in a parking garage underneath a car. They caught one inmate at least. But I don't know if I believe. I don't know if I believe the one official. It says, "Oh, we caught two of them already, or three." I don't know. They can't even keep straight how many escaped. They said, "Oh, the one that was reported escaped didn't actually escape." Surprise, surprise. So they couldn't even keep track of who actually escaped and who didn't. So now you have the sheriff saying, "Don't play politics on me." Well, she's right on one thing. It's not exactly about politics. It's about catching dangerous felons and putting them back in jail. It's so I can't believe this is what I can't believe. If a sheriff complains that I need, oh, thank you so much, Wyoming. It's actually inspired by Tip actually, but what I can't believe, what I'm having trouble believing is why can't a sheriff get funding if there's security risks at her jail? That's what I don't understand. If you have a security risk at your jail and you're asking for funding to fix the problem, why don't they give her the money? Okay, the locks are busted. Okay, you got a problem here. You got a problem there. Why don't they just give them the money? Because what if these inmates do something dangerous while they escape? It's happened before. All right. And if an escaped inmate does something, it's a big lawsuit. Because they shouldn't have been out of custody in the first place. Now, the problem in New York, this escape in New York was, yes, two of the inmates were sucking up, humping Joyce Mitchell's leg to get special favors and such. Yeah, true, S. Hockett. But I don't think it, I don't know how much it would cost just to fix the place up. So, if you ever watched the show 60 Days In, anyone? This is a true crime community after all. Where they send undercovers in to report on the jail. Which sheriffs actually dedicated to changing the way they do things. I actually like that show because at least they're trying to say, all right, we have a problem here. We just don't know what the degree of the problem is. Because the one sheriff actually took office and there was like a record number of contraband seizures. His locks were all broken. He just knew what he could see on the outside, and he said, "Okay, we're going to call 60 Days In and see what the other problems I can't see." Because the inmates aren't going to tell you everything, except, ow, it hurts. Or they're just going to complain about the food tastes bad, or or they don't know which complaints from the inmates are legitimate. In a way, it's so they do 60 days then to find out what the real problems are, where the drugs are coming from. Hey, YouTube. And they actually do something about it's like, this is what I don't understand about the Louisiana incident is, why don't they just give them the money if things are broken? Why make it an escape hazard? We had an incident here in North Carolina where things were falling apart in the jail. This, not my county, but I'm going to call it the next county over, but maybe 2 counties over, where there was someone actually did escape from the county jail. He assaulted a guard and got out using falling apart equipment from the I think it was a shower head he used to put in a sock and used it as a weapon to bash his way out. That's how that escape happened. They caught him 48 hours later, but so not only, so some people say, who cares? They're in jail. But if you have decrepit prison conditions, all right, you're putting the staff at risk of getting assaulted, injured. We had a guard here in my county that got hurt really, really bad from an inmate. Probably because he wasn't receiving the best medical care. That's what the investigation found out. But so now Louisiana is investigating this whole escape in New Orleans. So when someone escapes from jail, county jail or whatever, or state prison, don't they put their photos up on the news? Don't they alert the public? Have you seen these people? If you do, please call 911 or call the hotline. Don't they want these people back in custody ASAP? Yeah, well, I mean, I 100% agree with you. They're better off getting the funds to fix these things before people getting hurt. And it's the staff that suffers too. It's the staff that goes home. The staff goes home, the inmates don't. But still, oh, Auburn, oh dear, that place. I heard that place is a hellhole. Asshole. I heard Auburn and Sing Sing, they're hellholes. But it's New York. You know, New York is tough on crime, even though it's a blue state. It's misleading, in a way. With New York's strange laws and so here's the here's the problem I have though. I'm not accusing the no, that it's not the oldest in New York, asshole, is Newgate. That's up the Hudson. Remember the old saying, up the river you go? or down the river. That's where that comes from. It comes from Newgate Prison. Auburn, I think, opened around 1816 or something like that. Auburn is old. I'll give you that. Auburn, Sing Sing, they're old prisons, all right? Oh, I don't blame you, Wyoming, 1818, all right. Somewhere around there, I was thinking 1816, somewhere around there. So what really gets me about this whole escape thing is haven't they learned by now since the Alcatraz escape in the 60s and such? This kind of reminds me of the Alcatraz escape. With them in their beds, with mannequins. Well, it wasn't exactly corrections' fault on Alcatraz falling apart because of the salt water coming in, eroding everything. So, and then they found out in the 60s that it was too expensive to fix the place up and bring it up to code, so they just shut the place down and turned it into a museum. But didn't they learn to check the cells or do something? So they didn't discover these people till morning that they were missing. So they had like an 8-hour, 10-hour head start. Plus, in this day and age, they have video cameras, CCTV, ding ding. If you see if in the control center in a yeah, me too, Wes Hockett. That's one of the biggest mysteries of all. What happened to the Alcatraz prisoners? It was an unsolved mystery so many times. Or America's Most Wanted. That they're profiled. Nobody seems to know a damn thing. Hey, Danny. But this is what I don't get. You have cameras in the county jail or the parish jail in New Orleans. Isn't someone monitoring the video cameras? The surveillance cameras? So the videotape that I'm seeing is they have inmates yanking on the doors, some of the cell doors to let their friends out. Wouldn't that raise alarm bells to send someone down or send a bunch of people down? We have a problem here. I could see if something wasn't on the camera or something, but this was clearly on videotape being released as part of an investigation by the Attorney General of Louisiana. They don't actually know, Danny. That's one of the theories on Alcatraz. They drowned in San Francisco Bay. They could have survived. Nobody really knows. There was allegedly a phone call or whatever, bragging they survived. Nobody knows if that's legit. Just theories. So you got these surveillance cameras that are picking up behavior unbecoming of a prisoner. So how would the jail react if there was a big fight caught on surveillance camera? Would they just sit there and ignore it? The person, hey Crystal, would they sit there and ignore a big fight? The guards are watching. The guards are assigned to watching the surveillance camera live, or would they call it in? Apparently, one of the guards walked out, thought everyone was under lockdown, supposedly. It's just too many. I'm watching these. It's a whole system failure, S-Socket. So you have one guard on duty, which admits went on break. All right, S-Socket. Thought maybe 8:30 at night. It's bedtime, right? But what about the cameras? Wouldn't they be able to watch for activity and then call it in if a guard goes on break, or their supervisor comes in every few minutes, take a look around? This whole escape yesterday doesn't make any sense. All right. If it was just a guard that went on break, all right, there's a system in place, or there's supposed to be a system in place where your supervisor covers your break, or the guards are lockdown. That's what it's called. You're right, Danny. Lockdown. They're under lockdown when it's bedtime. So the guard went on break, thinking, okay, they're in bed. I can go for my lunch. No biggie, right? So the supervisor would probably come in. So this had to happen within a few minutes of her going on break and the supervisor walking in. But what about the cameras? There has to be guards watching live cameras. Are there? So if they see something suspicious, why don't they just call it in and have someone investigate? Because I saw video of inmates trying to getting a few people out of their cells. The locks aren't particularly great; they're defective, in my opinion. If you just keep pulling and pulling back and forth, and then the lock eventually gives, you have a big problem. The inmates knew about it and took advantage of it. And then you see the next video, and then you see the next video released where they're walking running out right out the front door. That didn't raise alarm bells, did it? So apparently no one was watching the cameras either. Oh yeah, Danny. There's something off about this, Danny. I could see it. I could see it being done intentionally too. But this is my problem. I just can't believe so many people can fail at their jobs. I could see the inmates escaping through a total con job because that's what they do. They're cons in a penitentiary. They sit there and watch for weaknesses in security. They sit there and say, okay. They lie, they cheat. I could see an inmate conning themselves like they did in the death row incident in Virginia. They con their way out. They did it under a bomb threat or something. That was part of the escape plan by inmates. And then they had a gurney or whatever with a TV underneath the blanket. And they pretended to be the bomb squad. Let's see here. Let me just read the I just want to give you accurate information here. Here we go. Okay. So the escape from death row in Virginia happened in 1984. All right. So 6 inmates facing the Virginia electric chair made an escape from the facility on May 31st, 1984. The inmates who escaped included 2 of the Briley brothers, Linwood and James, along with Lem Tuggle, Earl Clanton, Derek Peterson, and Willie Jones. They observed how correctional officers were complacent and often failed to follow security procedures. While returning to the building from evening recreation around 8 p.m., Clanton hid in a bathroom next to the entrance of the death row cell block, then charged on cue from another inmate from an adjacent control room's door was left open. Clanton overpowered the officer inside and released all the locks in the cell block. Inmates took over the block with homemade knives and blindfolded the bound responding officers, changing into their uniforms. Death row inmates Wilbert Lee Evans and Willie Lloyd Turner had participated in the planning meetings for this escape months prior, but ultimately did not participate. Guards later stated that Evans and Turner also prevented the escaping inmates from harming any prison workers, and at least one stated he owed his life to Evans and Turner. The inmates bluffed their way out of the prison by calling the front gate of the prison and pretending to be officers who needed a van supplied and both gates opened to aid the disposal of a bomb supposedly constructed by the inmates. The bomb was actually a portable TV covered with a blanket. The group correctly deducted that the prison had no set protocol for bomb disposal, so the gate officer could be fooled into opening both gates at the same time in violation of standard procedure. The 6 escapees put on riot helmets to conceal their faces and carried the TV out on the unit on a stretcher while spraying it with a fire extinguisher. So that's what happened. That's what happened in Virginia. So that was mostly done by trickery. They tricked their way out the facility, but they also had to overpower the guards and the unit. So this incident that happened yesterday, or the day before now, is a total system failure. You know, you had the TV cameras, you had the cameras watching the inmates. Either no one was watching the cameras, or the guards didn't care. Then you had a guard that was entitled to his or her break on night shift, and a supervisor that didn't immediately take the shift, didn't cover the break, and there was no going around doing head counts. So this is what we got, you know. This is what we got, you know. It's now you got perhaps 10, 9, 10 inmates on the loose, a danger to the community. You know, it just boggles the mind and how stupid people can be, you know, or lazy or complacent. Yeah, that trick worked in 1984, Kimberly. That trick worked, and death row inmates got out of jail, out of prison. There was no set procedures in 1984. So in Virginia, all right, let me see here. It's Mecklenburg County Correctional. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they make movies about this. Some of these notable escapes in history, you know, and then we got to sit there and learn what did we do wrong. And sometimes they don't even want to learn what they did wrong, and they do the same shit over and over again. It's just mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is what we do when we don't fund county jails when things break. Too, you know, I think it's a combination of corruption, lack of funding, lack of morale, and look what happens. Look at what happens. You got a bunch of inmates running out, caught on camera. And that wasn't a clue. In their jail uniforms. Duh. Couldn't they sound the alarm? Someone watching the cams. But apparently no one was watching those. Nobody was watching those. So this is going to be under investigation, this whole escape in Louisiana. And we'll see what they turn up. In other news, yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. This whole criminal justice system is a cash cow. Well, in other news, anyway. Did anyone hear the investigation going on in New York? On New York's Attorney General? Hey, Don. Hey, Zen. So, Letitia James is in the news all week. So, anyone who doesn't know who she is, she's New York's Attorney General who prosecuted Trump or sued Trump or whatever you want to call it. She's under investigation for mortgage fraud. So, this investigation, of course, she isn't. She's never out of the news, Dawn. She's never out of the news. In fact, from what I'm looking at, if you really want to think about it, she did the exact same thing that she accused Trump of doing. Oh yeah, I can't stand her. Asshole. I can't stand her. I can't stand that woman. She's she says, "Oh, the law applies to everyone." Right? But then she sits there and thinks the law doesn't apply to her. She says, "Oh, I screwed up on my mortgage applications." So, apparently, what Letitia did, or Tish, what she did was she applied for mortgages and lied to the mortgage company to get a lower rate and better benefits. She said she got a mortgage on a 5-unit apartment building in Brooklyn, and that would be a building under commercial use. So, what did she do? She lied and said she lied to the mortgage company and said it was 4 units to get a different classification of a loan. Supposedly. And then listed herself as that of her primary residence. Yeah, just about that. That's about it. I don't think this is political retribution, Socket. I don't think that at all. It may look like it from the outside, but these allegations were out there a little while ago. I think someone was writing a book on her and got these public documents. And oh, that Don K. The James Comey crime. Well, I'll say this: I don't believe James Comey when he said, "Oh, it was a political message." He found it on the beach. 86, 47, or whatever you want to call it. Takes a picture of it and then posts it on Instagram. I don't buy that. He either downloaded it on from Google or he arranged those rocks himself. You know? Yeah, basically. You know, best with the bull. You know the rest of the story. You know, I don't believe Comey. I'm sorry, he's a liar. You know, he says in his Instagram post, "Oh, what a wonderful political message." Really? That's not a great political message. Violence is not a political message, a good political message to give. Are you friggin' kidding me? I take that as a threat on a sitting president to post something like that on Instagram. And then he gets caught, and then James Comey gets called out, as rightfully so. And then he takes his post down and says, "Well, I don't agree with violence." No, he got caught. So he took his post down. Too late. Now he's under investigation too, along with Miss James. Yeah, Miss James decided to lie about her primary residency in Virginia. Decided to take a mortgage out and say, "Oh, she's the primary resident of a house in Norfolk," when it was actually for her niece. Oh, that was rich. She gets better rates. She lies to the mortgage companies. She played the game. I think Tish James is guilty. That's what I think. She knew how to play the system. What do you think she was doing in office as Attorney General? What she did was she ran on the premise she was going to take Trump down. She failed, but oh yeah, I remember that, Wyoming. I remember that. You know, it was like your state had lizard. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, she was oh yeah, that's the same. I'll admit, Wyoming, you have a point there. She said she was a Wyoming resident, but she was actually a resident of Virginia with her husband, and she barely came to Wyoming. She only went to Wyoming when she needed to or absolutely had to. Talk about fraud. Wasn't she supposed to represent the people of Wyoming, not Washington, D.C., or the super rich? That's just my opinion. She lost the damn primary, for fuck's sakes. I knew she was going to lose. Yep, you voted her out. You voted her out of office with the landslide election, with the primary. She didn't even stand a chance. And then I remember her campaigning with Democrats. And she still calls herself a Republican. I can't believe it. No, she's a rhino. A rhino, whatever you want to call it. Republican in name only. But technically, Liz Cheney didn't commit a crime here in Wyoming. Tish James did. Mortgage fraud is a federal offense. You can't just sit there and lie on your mortgage applications. And then here's her defense. Here's her defense, everyone. All right, listen to her defense. All right, listen to Tish James's defense. Well, I accidentally checked the wrong boxes a few times. Well, a lawyer actually went up on I watched a video with a lawyer, and she said that's no defense, because it was her responsibility to make sure that the paperwork was correct before she signed it. So that's the law, actually. It's her it's the applicant's responsibility to make sure the paperwork is correct before signing the application. Yeah, there's DINO then too. There's Democrat in name only, and there's Republican in name only. It's a funny political term. You know, you call yourself a Republican, but you're not. You're just calling yourself that for to win a primary or Democrat. Calling yourself a Dino. It's political maneuvering. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, so Letitia James is in a lot of trouble. So some of these people, they think they're all that, but they don't even but they have all these skeletons in their closet. And they make statements like, "Oh, no one's above the law." They say that in public, but they don't actually mean it. Do they? They think they have all this money. Oh, and get a load of this. All right. Get a load of this. Did you know what they adopted in the New York State budget? Did you know what they adopted? They set aside $10 million. $10 million for any politician. It's a legal slush fund. So the slush fund was meant for any prosecution, if they're under investigation by Trump or the Justice Department, anything related to doing their jobs. All right. So Miss James, the Attorney General, tried to tap into that fund for a lawyer and get the taxpayers to put the practically pick up the tab for her off the job activities. So mortgage fraud is an off the job crime. But while she was Attorney General, she had some of her office staff in on the scam. They were they witnessed the signature on the purchase in Brooklyn, of the house in Brooklyn, or apartment complex in Brooklyn, whatever you want to call it. So she thought that, oh, there's a $10 million slush fund. It applies to me. I get my lawyer paid for free. I'm getting persecuted. Well, unfortunately for her, it's getting blocked. Is that what that fund was set up for, actually? Yeah. I see her. I don't think she's that bright. Hey, Divergent. I don't see her that bright, actually. That's just me. She seems to have this is just me, but I don't agree with her politically at all, but I seen Democrats with better brains than she has. Now she's asking for $25 donations. And if you don't believe me on the slush fund in New York, or asking for $25 donations, look it up. All right? It's all public record. It's all I know him pretty good. So, yeah, she could be a DEI hire, asshole. Plausible deniability. But she seems really, really dumb. I'll have to admit that. I think with her, she struggled to get through. And I've seen Democrats with better arguments than she gives. I'll tell you that. Then we got Cuck Eli. And we got Cuck Eli over in California with no brains at all. So, well, I wouldn't call him a Democrat. I'd call him a communist. So only his First Amendment rights matter. You got to agree with him, or he stomps his feet crying. Only he matters. It's like, I will say, Divergent, you do got a point there. A lot of these Democrats do stomp their feet and say, you go with the program or else. They go full on Karen. But there's some people who do follow me that are halfway intelligent Democrats. I'll tell you that. Or I don't know if I'd call them Democrats actually, but they're actually middle of the road people, and they don't act like some of these far left crazies out there. So yeah, I just don't like to get into politics on my channel because it's divisive. You know, it's just because it's news. You know, true crime related. That's why I'm covering it. You know, when someone's under investigation or someone's yeah, okay, Divergent. Let's just talk about that for a minute, all right? I made my video yesterday because, for lack of a better word, I was just fed up with Kristola coming into chats, especially Nikki's, disrupting. I found her behavior several times abusive. She views it as not abusive, but whatever. But I'm not going to sit there and be quiet while she sits there and disrupts. I told her yesterday to knock it off. She refused to listen. I yelled at her, all right? I yelled at Kristola. And then she comes over asking, goes into Nikki's chat complaining, and Nikki doesn't give a shit. All right, don't bring your problems. Don't go over to the channels I'm at and complain about me. Yeah, absolutely, Divergent. Absolutely, and people could see it for what it is. All right, I don't hate Kristola. I don't hate her, but at the same time, she has a problem with me, and I'm not going to sit there and hold her hand and be nice in return when she treats me like utter shit. All right. Yeah. So yes, I did make a video on her yesterday, saying I'm not going to be putting up with her crap, and I called her out. Yeah, it is very disruptive, Wyoming. How is it my responsibility to get Robbie or Nikki's responsibility to get Robbie to answer her back? Robbie will get back to her when Robbie gets back to her. All right. Damn. Don't sit there and carry on in Nikki's chat for something we have no control over. But Robbie comes into chat wanting to have a good time, wanting to listen, he would have got back to her afterwards. It's not that he's avoiding her or anything. Maybe he's avoiding her. I don't know. But I can't read Robbie's mind here. Yeah. Oh yeah. Asshole, did you ever see the series on Australian TV on YouTube? What's it called? I'm thinking what it's called. It was that Australian reporter. I can't remember what this. It's not coming off my tongue. It's not coming off my tongue. You know, it's something about liberals. Let me see if it's down here. You know, I always get a. I always usually get one of these a day. You know, Sky News or you know what I'm talking about. Something about liberals acting crazy. Meltdown. That's it. That's it. The dark haired chick. Yep. Lefty's losing it. That's it. That's it, Wyoming. You got it. Rita. Rita's her name. Oh yeah, those clips are hilarious. That is hilarious. Yeah, Rita. Australia Sky News. You gotta love them. You gotta love them. You know, it's like some of these. They like to get. They like to give liberal, real liberals a bad name. The ones that don't act like that. Rosie O'Donnell was on there, and I'm like, Rosie, come on. You're not even wanted in Ireland. For fuck's sakes. You know, it's so I found this this not I found this new channel I might be subscribing to soon. It's this black girl, and she seems to be like somewhere in the middle. You know, it's like decent perspective between the left and the right. So I'm gonna share her channel for everyone, so everyone can give her so everyone can give her a listen. So she's covering Letitia James. She's covering she's covering the FBI director, making the threatening posts. She's doing commentary on that. She's doing Puff Puff Diddy. She's doing the congressional arrest at Newark. I did a video on that. Please look for that. The what is it, Delaney Hall incident. She's got a lot of videos on Letitia James. And I kind of agree with what's her name? Nelly, on her take on Letitia, you know. She kind of exposes her for what she is. You know, and then she goes with the inmates that escaped from New Orleans. And I kind of watched other videos that were related to the prison break the other day, and I just came up with made up my own mind on that. You know, too many questions than answers. Yeah, the Diddy case, he's done for, in my opinion. You know, Diddy is good as convicted. You know, he's as good as convicted. Puff Daddy, goodbye. Might as well just plead guilty and get it over with. You know, he's guilty as hell. I saw that video of him abusing that woman. You know, and that was like, I was like huffing and puffing when I saw that. It was disturbing. Disgusting. Vile. Piece of shit Diddy is. Yeah, Diddy's as good as gone. Yeah. Of course he's going to get that jail dick. You know, it's probably what he does best. He gender doesn't matter with him. It's the abuse. I think he gets off on the abuse. That's just my opinion on that. You know, he gets off on the abuse, the suffering. But here's what this is the thing that bothers me about Diddy, all right? I don't think he's the only one. I think he's just the tip of the iceberg. This is Hollywood. This is the music industry, for fuck's sakes. Do you think he's the only one engaging in this behavior? Yeah, I agree with you on that. He's going to be the prison bitch. You know, it's well, couldn't happen to two better people, you know? Him and R. Kelly. One's an animal abuser. Yeah, too much corruption, you know? Too much corruption, you know? Well, he has an asshole. He has his enablers, you know? People were scared. It takes time for these things sometimes to come out. They probably shut people up. They probably tried murder, you know? They probably tried to shut people up. The Aaron Carter revelations aren't that good either. You know, the tapes the lawyer viewed in court. And yeah, I think his own lawyer admitted that his own client is undefendable. I think he's only pleading not guilty just to preserve his appeal rights or to preserve his right to make a deal if things don't go his way. Do you realize how many people that Diddy can take down? If he actually cooperated. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve what's coming to him. That's a good. That's a good. That's a question I'm asking myself too. But if he sang, but he is singing, but if he is singing the blues on his friend's asshole, they don't do it for free. You know, people in this situation, if they sing on their friends, they want something in return, such as a nice cushy plea deal. You know, this wouldn't go to trial if Diddy was decided to sing the blues. Yeah, there's a lot of scumbags in the music industry, along with Hollywood. I'm sure he knows them all. Yeah, that Aaron Carter stuff pissed me off. Too Divergent, you know. He's basically done for. In my, but didn't they say that in 1995 with O.J. Simpson, he was done for, and he got acquitted. But at the same time, with the O.J. Simpson case, the state didn't have a case. The state couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. All Marshall Clark did was look good for the cameras. And I tend to believe that girl. Asshole. I tend to believe all victims unless there's a reason not to. Yeah, Jay-Z is awful, and yeah. Yeah, a few people in this community think I just do drama. They think I just do drama. They just don't pay attention much. You know, I put in a non-drama stream in the area, you know. Yeah, that perm, you know. That perm, you know. That perm, you know. That perm of Marsha Clark's, you know. It's all she did right. You know, why would you introduce evidence that you know it's going to get debunked? You know, take your time, you know. Take your time, Marcia. O.J. Simpson wasn't going anywhere. O.J. Simpson wasn't going nowhere. But what was it, 2 weeks? Wasn't even 3 weeks before he gets indicted. I believe that was before even the DNA evidence comes in. So yeah, the DNA evidence in OJ's was contaminated. We'll never know for sure if he actually did it or not. The only thing Marcia Clark showed was he most likely did it, which isn't good enough in a court of law. All Marcia Clark did, all Marcia Clark did was show that O.J. Simpson abused his wife, and he could have done it. That's all she showed. She showed that O.J. Simpson was a scuzz bucket. And now it's coming out that someone else could have done it. Someone else confessed to the O.J. Simpson crime of the century, they want to call it. This Glenn Rogers, who's on death row, I think in Florida. A serial killer across multiple states. Confessed to doing it. But if you actually believe his story, it makes O.J. Simpson still guilty. So, but not as guilty. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't the one who did it. But it's the same thing as if you hire someone to do it. You're just as guilty as if you stabbed her yourself. So they actually made a movie on that. So if you have Prime or something, Amazon Prime, Netflix, or whatever, that's probably up there. So they have an alternate version of the O.J. Simpson, the Nicole Brown Simpson murders. So all right, everyone. I'm gonna hit the road. And I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. So Nikki ended early, so nope, not at all. No apologies. No apologies except for the ones I made. So all right, everyone. I'll see everyone another day. Thanks for coming. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. And until next time, bye-bye.